With Mortal Kombat riding high on its most recent wave of success that was created by the soft MK reboot Mortal Kombat 9, blown up by Mortal Kombat X, and now crests with Mortal Kombat 11, it is interesting to see how far certain characters have come, and where they come from. Sure, Scorpion, Sub-Zero, and Johnny Cage all have interesting backstories and largely serve as the backbones of the stories for most of the games. But today, let's take a closer look at a couple of newer and perhaps underappreciated characters that might surprise you as far more interesting and deeper than you might have realized. Geras and The Kollector. These two characters are not long-time staples in the Mortal Kombat series quite yet, so as you might expect, they don't quite have the plethora of lore to pore over like Raiden or Reptile might. Even still, they do have backstories and reasons for existing in the Mortal Kombat universe. Born into total poverty, Kollector is from a race of mostly slaves, the Naknaden. This race rarely sees members of it rise through any sort of ranks like Kollector has. The Kollector knows this and shows off his success with fine relics and other valuables all over his body, and it's all a huge part of his personality. As a result of his efforts to defy the expected outcome of any Naknaden's life, the Kollector has stolen countless riches from the people of Outworld, rewarding himself with wealth and status that he had not known before. As such, he has and will kill anyone who even remotely threatens this. He takes his position as a collector of Imperial treasures extremely seriously. As you might imagine, Shao Kahn valued this and kept Kollector on his roster of close acquaintances and more valuable henchmen. Despite being as self-obsessed as he is, he did serve Shao Kahn intently by acting as his debt collector and personal financier. As he did, though, he valued compassion for his fellow Naknadens less and less, and ultimately loses sight of his roots entirely. Sort of like Smeagol from Lord of the Rings mixed with Quark from Deep Space Nine. Despite this, the bitterness of his upbringing shows up often, the Kollector often bringing up that his opponents have no idea what real struggle is, and live sheltered, fortunate lives compared to his. Driven to an obsession with wealth and power from his past, the possibility of expanding his wealth is a constant part of his thought process, and it weighs heavily on every situation. Things changed for Kollector once Kotal became the new Khan. Kollector remained a Shao loyalist, and as such, had no choice but to hide from the new leadership. As he is introduced in Mortal Kombat 11's story mode, he is a freshly caught prisoner, being primed for execution by Kotal himself. Just before the Kollector was to meet his fate, however, the timelines merge. The past versions of characters start sprouting and causing lots of chaos to ensue. Taking advantage of the pandemonium, Kollector kills enough of his captors to escape from his shackles and resumes his role as Shao's ally, along with D'Vorah. From here, Kollector ends up in a confrontation with Jade where they have as much a physical clash as they do a philosophical one. Jade defeats him in both arenas, and from there, Kollector's role in the larger Mortal Kombat 11 narrative ends. Much like the Kollector, Geras is also an antagonist in the Mortal Kombat mythos, as his agenda is in direct conflict with the Earthrealm characters. Geras is a construct of immortality and serves the will of his master with overwhelming strength and an unshakable constitution. Enforcing the will of Kronika is pretty much all that matters to Geras, and he has been stopping at nothing to see her will done for eons. He has been around a long time before the events of the canon Mortal Kombat games, and in some form will be around long after them. Even getting his head sliced off by Kung Lao's hat couldn't quite stop him, as he just grew a new one. As Geras reveals late in the story of Mortal Kombat 11, he is a figure that can transcend time, which is proven as Kronika freezes Liu Kang and Kung Lao, and Geras continues to act outside of the rules of time. Eventually, as Raiden, the rest of the Shaolin, Outworld, and the Special Forces begin their full frontal assault of Kronika's stronghold, Geras fills his role as Kronika's main muscle and engages Raiden in an attempt to forcibly stop him from reaching Kronika and interrupting her plans. Geras makes it very clear that he cannot die by taking blow after blow and just continuing to exist. However, Raiden chains Geras to an anchor and throws him into the Sea of Blood, where, according to legend, he is damned to sink until the end of time. This is where the story of Mortal Kombat 11 leaves Geras, but with all the time traveling, timeline hopping, and just general narrative finagling going on in MK11's story, I'd say the odds of us seeing him again are fairly good, and that is likely music to the ears of anyone who enjoys his brute force, dead-eyed style. While Geras and the Kollector are relatively new characters to this series, the amount of planning and thought that went into their purposes puts them right alongside the franchise's other iconic characters. Perhaps we still need a couple more appearances from them in mainline games for their popularity to come anywhere near Scorpion's or Sonya's, but as it stands, these are two very interesting characters that we will likely see more of, as the eternal clashes between the realms continues to boil over in the Mortal Kombat universe. That's it for this video. If you enjoyed and would like to see more, feel free to hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell to ensure you'll be notified when new videos go up.